Welcome to Cocktails Over Coffee, a podcast that spotlights truly inspiring individuals who have taken a leap of faith by leaving their corporate careers, otherwise known as their coffee, to pursue their passion, otherwise known as their cocktail. I'm Janae Green, and I am so excited to be here today with Tannis.
Hi guys!
Cheers!
Cheers!
We're drinking a Tom Collins.
Tom Collins.
Tannis' drink of choice.
It's like my summertime turn anytime drink.
And she said, I made this, and she said it was pretty good. I never made one before.
This is tasty.
Thoroughly impressed with myself.
We'll get through more than one of these.
Oh, absolutely. And I've got plenty of gin in the kitchen. So.
Who's got gin?
All right, so let's start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what your coffee was. What were you doing?
The 9 to 5 was, I was a digital content and media manager at Foot Locker Corporate.
Okay.
Which I don't necessarily know if that title really described what I did. I was really kind of creative directing.
Right.
All of our sort of outbound marketing materials, really.
Okay. So you kind of were like wearing a couple different hats.
I was wearing a lot of different hats. It was the kind
hats.
of company where the teams were small.
Right.
You had to do a bit of everything.
All hands on deck.
And that is, it's fun in the beginning because you're like, oh my
it gets
God,
old.
I have so much like impact and I have power and I get to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I quickly learned that I had to stop raising my hand.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
oh, you'll overwork yourself.
You guys keep saying yes, but like nobody's helping me.
Right.
So I've got to stop suggesting stuff, you know?
Yeah, stop coming up with good ideas.
Right, no, really, you know? And, but it was fun. And I was working on a lot of campaigns and producing a lot of content and being on sets like at least 3-4 times a month. And I was like, wow. I love this. This is like awesome. Fun. And then you realize how exhausting it can be at times, you know? And so the coffee started overflowing and I was
too much caffeine. You're getting the jitters.
Caffeine. Yeah, I was really getting the jitters and it got to the point that I was like, I've got to stop. Like something's got to give.
So what did you want to do when you were growing up? Was this it?
No, I mean, it's always tough. Like, what did you want to be when you grow up?
I know. I mean, it's like pick an age.
You know? Yeah. Honestly, I mean, like I'd played basketball my whole life, so up until probably my senior year of high school, I thought basketball was it. I mean, I didn't think I was going to the WNBA, but I hadn't really thought past that.
Yeah. Okay.
And so once I got to college, I really got into like digital, and that's when I got like my first WordPress or my Blogger or whatever, and was like, oh, I kind of like digital stuff. And then I graduated, got an internship with Complex Magazine when they were like peak digital everything.
Yeah, very cool.
And it was like the top 50 this and lists about everything. And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I found a really comfortable place in the digital world.
Okay.
And then it was just kind of like, all right, let's transition from there. So
what were you transitioning into?
From Complex, it was MTV. There was like a hiatus in between the two.
Okay.
But then it was
very cool companies. By the way.
I know, weird.
I mean, you have a pretty cool resume.
Listen, pero like, don't let it fool you, honey. Don't let it fool you. No.
I mean, the resume's glimmery, but
it's fun.
Yeah,
it's been. I mean, I will say, like being in New York, I've been super fortunate.
Yeah. Dream jobs.
Yeah. But like also hustling to get those jobs. Like
it didn't come to you.
Yeah, you know.
Right.
I applied just like everyone else. This wasn't like a
interview just
hookup.
like everyone else.
Truly. And so after Complex, it was MTV, and I was there for like 4 years, and that was like amazing.
Right.
Working on.
You were doing incredible stuff.
It was so cool, like working on the VMAs.
What was your favorite thing you did? Was it the VMAs?
Yeah, for sure. I think I worked on like 5 VMAs while I was there, and countless other award shows, but like sneaking into Beyonce's dress rehearsal?
Wait, what? Let's talk about that. I mean, I knew about this story, but I want everyone else to know because that's, first of all, it's so badass.
I think I snuck in twice.
Oh wait, you're a repeat offender.
Two different VMAs.
It was becoming a thing.
It was amazing.
Okay.
It was like...
How'd you do that?
Well, you had a credential, and
so you can get past certain people.
I can't reveal my sources.
She wasn't in the dressing room, was she?
No. She was on stage. Like I snuck into a dress rehearsal where she was on stage, and somehow, some way, I managed to find a seat And I just sat there and nobody told me to leave. And I was just like, I won't do anything, I swear.
Just don't look at me. I won't look at you.
Yeah. And then I was just like, guys, it's going to be a great show. It's going to be a great show. And my mom's calling me. She's like, sweetie, I think I see you on TV. And I'm like, Mom, I'm in the truck in the back. You don't see me. I promise you. It's not me.
Oh, all moms want to believe.
You know?
Yeah.
Sweetie, me and your dad, I think we see you.
We're watching you. You're not.
Mom, I'm in a truck. I'm in a truck right now. I'm not there.
Oh my gosh.
So, so it was
amazing.
MTV, and then leaving there and getting a chance to go to Foot Locker.
Very cool.
And spreading my wings really there, and like finding my confidence and being able to be where I am now.
So what was the jump from like MTV to Foot Locker? Like, was it an increase in responsibilities? Were you like...
Yeah, such an increase. I think I left MTV as a coordinator, and I joined Foot Locker as a manager.
Incredible.
I wasn't really managing too many people while I was a coordinator.
Sometimes managers don't have anything to manage.
Yeah, absolutely.
For anyone, I would say.
Anyone. Yeah. And so when I came to Foot Locker, I was given a lot more freedom than I was ever used to.
Nice.
Viacom as a whole, I mean, there's just so much red tape. It's to do anything,
right?
You know,
right.
And so like to have an impact feels really difficult because I can't get through all the
everything's kind of set up, and you can't really like. You can't be as creative as you want to be.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people and there's so many decisions that have already been made before it gets to little old you.
Yep.
So I was like, well, you know, just kind of going along with it, but like taking and learning really valuable lessons along the way about what it's like to work at a big company and what big budgets are like and what it's like to be able to have access to certain things.
Right.
So I took that with me when I went to Foot Locker, where it was much more scrappy and like, who do you know here? And I'm like, oh.
You're like, I gotta pull some
resources. You know? And so with that new role came that new freedom and came a new sense of like how I wanted to define myself within the company and within my role.
Right.
And I think I just ended up falling into what I did at Foot Locker because that definitely wasn't the job description. I think I just
Don't you love that? One time I did a job and the title was Special Projects. I was like, who knows what this is?
And they do that on purpose. Because they're like, it's gonna...
They're like, no, this falls into a special project. I'm like, I'm writing a story.
Does it?
Like,
it's a special project because nobody else wants to do it.
You get everyone else's work.
Yeah. So it very quickly sort of turned into this, hey, you did that last thing really well. Do you want to do it again?
Yeah, and you're like, not really.
No,
I hated it.
Sure, yes, thank you. You know, and thankfully, I actually liked what I did, and I really liked the results.
Yeah.
And I was able to bring people along with me, like my peers.
You definitely like pulled some people into your projects, which was really cool.
That felt amazing.
Right.
You know, like literally my very first project that I was able to work on.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, do you know a photographer?
And
the only like photographer I knew at the time was Mark. Was Mark C. And I was like, yeah, I know somebody.
Yeah. Which is incredible because you got him a gig.
Yeah, we did a couple. We did a couple together at Foot Locker. It was awesome.
Amazing.
And it was just, it's one of those times where you're like, I'm relying on my friends to make me look good at work.
You're like, I really have to trust you.
I have to trust you, and like, you know, we built up a rapport, so it was fantastic. But it's a lot of pressure.
It is.
You're like, I'm bringing you into my workplace. This is how I pay my rent.
Exactly.
Please don't act a fool. You know, like literally. And he was so amazing. He was so amazing. They got the photos back and they were like, wait a minute.
We need you.
What is this? And I was like, you know.
Yeah, he's a photographer. He does this.
And then from there, it was like nonstop. I did 40 campaigns my first year at Foot Locker.
40? Okay, how does that work? How long does a campaign take? Because there's only 12 months in a year.
You know what I'm saying? No, yeah.
You're like, well, what's sleep?
Really. I mean, we worked on a lot of campaigns at the same time.
Okay.
You find yourself in multiple places, or you're hiring out a lot, which is again was great for me because, as I said before, I was just able to bring my peers along.
See, that's beautiful because I feel like, I mean, that happened to me at one job where I wanted to be able to do that. I was like, I got a photographer, I got a DJ, I got all these people. And they're like, but we've always worked with this person. I'm just like, why did you hire me?
Yeah.
I can't do anything.
If I have to work with the same people.
Yeah. And I was like, I have my people. They're probably better than yours. And also they are cheaper.
Yeah.
But like, it's nice that Foot Locker gave you that freedom.
They wanted that. They were like, hey, we want to build up our creator, you know.
Right.
Which was great because for me, it was tough. And, you know, it was a blessing in disguise, basically. But coming from a place that was basically a content house, they just made content all the time, to coming to a company that was just getting into content. That was like, what kind of camera should we buy? And I was like, wow. All right, so we're starting.
Page 1.
Yeah, we're starting for page 1, you know. But with that came a lot of decision making and came a lot of influence. So I was like, I kind of like that, you know. But yeah, 40 campaigns, just like back to back. Insanity.
Intense. Okay, so while you were at Foot Locker, and also all these jobs, you were also working on personal projects, right?
Yes.
So
trying to. I found that, so while I was at MTV for the 4 years that I was there, I was able to write, produce, and direct 3 short films, all self-financed, which was like awesome.
Amazing, incredible.
It was fantastic. I had a lot of free time with that coordinator role. I had a lot of free time.
Right. Not as much was on your back.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so I found that to be my real calling. I was like, this is what I love. Like, I just get to like write stories and make up all this fun stuff and then go on set and make it come to life. Like, that's so fun. And so I did that at MTV and I had enough time to do it. And then I found when I got the new role that I didn't have time.
Time was limited.
I didn't have time. And it was the first time in my life that I felt like my job was stopping me from pursuing my dreams. And I never felt that before. I had never ever felt that before.
Which is probably a challenge because you were happy with what you were doing.
Yeah.
But you weren't able to pursue the things that, like, you know, wake you up in the morning.
Exactly. And there's the cachet because you're doing all this cool stuff and you get to work with these people. Right. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm like happy about it all the time, you know?
Exactly.
And so I had to something had to give. Something had to give ultimately.
And it was that corporate job.
It was the corporate job.
So tell me about the process leading up to that. Like, did you have a plan? Did you create a timeline? Were you saving?
I tried to create a plan as best I could. I thought about it probably for consistently, I thought about it for 6 months. Okay. I didn't think about really, really doing it until 2 or 3 months before. And then once I decided, I was like, all right, September 1, that's it, you're out.
That's the date you set.
That's it, yeah.
Was it the Monday after Labor Day?
Yeah, yes,
I was like, what was the, okay.
And then I ended up staying that till that Friday, just to whatever. But I was committed to it. I was like, this is the date. Once I decided, I was like, once you tell them, there's no going back.
They're not going to give you your job.
They might. But perhaps they might, right?
Probably not.
They'd be like, well, God bless. You wanted to do it.
Your desk is packed up.
Thank you so much. We have someone coming in a few hours. Thank you. So don't ever think that these people are loyal.
Oh, no. You know? They will replace you in a heartbeat. Actually, they probably already have. Your teammates, your coworkers have probably already raised their hands before you're fully out the door. It happens all the time.
Is this the part where I say, I was asked by teammates while I was there what they needed to do to get the job?
So you literally had people vying for your position while you're still in...
And being like, yo, what should I do? And I was like,
I'm still here.
I was like, be me.
Yeah.
I'm leaving because nobody can, and I recognize that, so best of luck.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so you planned for September 1.
Yeah, planned for September 1. Talked to my family about it a lot. Yeah. Talked to my parents, who were like, okay, all right.
That's the parent dance.
Yeah, because they want to be supportive.
Yep, they don't want to ever tell you, no, you shouldn't.
And I realized, honestly, a little bit earlier that, like, I mean, I am thankful that I come from very supportive parents who are both like, pursue your dreams, do whatever you want to do.
That's the best.
But my mom has worked a 9-to-5, a corporate office job her whole life.
Yeah.
But she also runs a theater company and has run a theater company for the last 20 years.
So she's got like a little cocktail inside of her coffee.
Yeah. So I realized, I'm like, wow, this like side hustle stuff is trendy now. But like, I've seen you with a side hustle since I was born and I didn't even realize it, you know?
Right, so you're like, it can be done.
It can be done, and I see what happens when people are passionate about something, but also want to make sure that they have,
provide for their family.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I was like, it's possible.
Right.
But then once I decided I was going to do it full out, they were just like, we think you're going to kill it. We're excited.
Your family said this.
My mom was like, I am so proud of you.
Oh, that's
like,
the best.
Sweetie, I wish I had that courage when I was your age. And like, they were just...
Oh my gosh.
It was amazing.
That's the reassuring feeling that you need.
If mom and dad aren't down, I don't know if it's going to work.
It usually does. I spent so much time convincing my parents, but I didn't need to. I was trying to convince myself, actually. Because I told my parents, and they were like, we support you, you've got a plan. I was like over-explaining it, and I was like, no, but, and they're like, no, we said we support you, go do it.
Yeah.
It was really me I was trying to convince.
You're trying to convince yourself.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people who were like, oh my God, you're going to be so great. And then I was like, you don't know that.
You have no idea.
This could all be really bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But having their support was just, it was priceless.
Amazing.
And then my girlfriend just being there and being like, all right.
You got this.
You got it. I'm here.
You had a good team behind you.
Without it, there was no way. And then especially trying to do it in New York is terrifying.
Oh my gosh. It's terrifying, but also the city that almost makes it okay because there's a ton of people here doing it and making it.
100%.
Whereas if I'm back home in like the Midwest and they're like, you're going to quit your job and do what?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And I don't think I would have done it any place else besides New York.
This is where you do this.
It was the place to do it. There's too many opportunities for you here to not do it almost. And so I was like, all right, well, New York is my safety net. And as crazy as that sounds, the city is my safety net.
It is. And at this point, you had built up enough connections here, enough relationships that this really was your safety net.
Yeah, I saved my money. I did the thing.
Yep.
I was like, Mom, Dad, I can do this. Figured out all this stuff ahead of time. Knew that I wanted to start a company, and sort of took the month of September to plan announcing the company.
Okay.
Took a little time off to work on some stuff, to just like exist in New York for a second.
Yeah, before going full force into your own thing.
Into, all right, what's going on now? Yes. And so that was great. It was great.
So it was good to take that breather.
Detox for just a second and experience New York as like a tourist again.
Oh my God. This is what I've said this so many times, like, we live in New York and we don't get to experience it. We don't get to go outside when it's daylight, besides 2 days on the weekend. And most times we're at brunch and we maybe don't even remember the daylight.
You know what I mean? You get to brunch at 12, 1, and you're
there till nighttime.
7.
You literally,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
so I was like, I live in this amazing city, but I'm not getting to experience it. And that was one of the things that, like, prompted me. I was like, I want to enjoy, because I'm not going to live in New York forever. So I want to enjoy the city while I'm here, and that means not being tied down to an office all day.
Yeah. I remember thinking, just, having the 9-to-5 and going to lunch and being like, how are this many people outside?
Out during the day. Oh my gosh, I was
like, where's everybody going?
I would be like, I would be doing a walkthrough or something, or I would pass Central Park. I was like, this is way too crowded.
You know what I mean?
For like you guys to all be like surviving and living in New York.
It was truly one of those things. And I just started, once I got the bug, I started talking to a lot of my friends that were freelance. Before I decided to fully go, I talked to all of them and I was like, okay, how are you existing in this city the same way I am, but you don't have a job like I do?
Right. And I'm barely making it with a job.
Exactly. And I'm like, and we're at the same events, we're going to the same thing, we're meeting the same people, we're living the same life. How are you doing it?
Yeah.
And just talking to them and learning and being like, wow, so you just like did it.
You just did it.
And they're like, yeah.
Resigned and you went and lived your life.
Yep.
So, okay, let's talk about what your cocktail is. You kind of like gave us a sneak peek of your cocktail, but like tell us exactly what your passion is, what you're doing.
So the cocktail is that I opened my own production company.
Incredible.
Micole Creative Studios.
Where did the name Micole come from?
It's my middle name.
Micole? Mm-hmm. I never knew that.
Yeah.
I'm like big on middle names. I mean, my middle name's Destiny, and like that's my Instagram handle. But I just I never really know other people's middle names. I should start asking people to introduce themselves by first and middle name.
I swear, I feel like most people always sort of incorporate their middle names in something, especially women.
Well, if you have a cool middle name, because some people's middle names are like, I mean, no offense, but like, well, I'm not even gonna say it.
I'm gonna be like, let me be quiet, because everybody has like a middle name like Elizabeth, and I'm like, okay,
cool, maybe leave it out.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay,
so Micole's your middle name. Yeah. And so it's Micole Productions.
Micole Creative Studios.
Micole, I just made up a whole new name for you.
Yeah. But we're here.
Yeah, here we are. Okay, so Micole Creative Studios.
Yeah.
What was the process like building that and announcing it?
Yeah.
And like what money did you put towards it? Tell me all of that.
So I think I started the idea of Micole several years ago before actually like getting an LLC and like properly going through the channels. So I just always had this idea that Micole was this thing that I wanted to create, that it didn't really have a title for it, or if it was a company, if it was a blog, if it was a brand, I didn't really know.
It was something.
It was just something.
Yes.
And so once I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave. I actually, funny enough, I asked some of my coworkers at the time, I was like, what should I name my new company? And I was very honest with them about this. It wasn't
the coworkers at Foot Locker.
Yeah.
They were like cleaning off your desk as you're asking. They're like, so you're leaving soon, right?
I was like, yeah, what should I call it?
Yeah. Okay, what they said.
No.
Any good ideas, or were they all garbage?
Good ideas, because someone suggested studio within the name, and I was like,
Studio's good.
Because I always wanted to call it a studio.
Cool.
But I didn't have a physical studio space to be like, you can come here and do it. You can take photos.
Right.
But then we kind of went through the whole discussion. There's like a lot of companies are called studios
that don't have a physical
space.
Yeah, makes sense. The world is your studio.
The world is my oyster. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I thought about the name a little bit more, and I really wanted to stick with Micole. I really wanted to incorporate studios, but I also wanted to get across that like we're a creative house. We just are a creative studio.
Things.
So I had a creative. So Micole Creative Studios.
I like it.
Which just lets you know that we're able to kind of do a little bit of everything. And so essentially we're a photo and video production company that specializes in telling stories with and about people of color.
Wow, love that.
That's what we specialize
in. And that's what you were kind of, the projects that you've worked on while you were working full time.
Yeah.
Those kind of all fit into Micole Creative Production.
Exactly.
Studios.
Micole Creative Studios.
Literally can't get. It's the Tom Collins.
Yes, it's good. It's good. It's the yogurt and the Tom's Collins.
The yogurt that is not soaking up my Tom Collins.
Exactly.
Okay, so what was the beginning process like? Did you have a team from the beginning, or were you the team?
I was the team.
You were the team.
I was the team. Yeah. I mean, thankfully, another really significant part for me was I don't think that I would have been able to do what I'm doing now without having my 9-to-5s, without having the corporate job experience.
Yeah.
For me, it's been insanely crucial because I'm like, I know how it works. I know how it is to be in an office. I understand that I don't need to talk to the social media manager about getting XYZ. I need to talk to integrated marketing.
Yeah, it's actually crucial training.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's a really, really imperative to sort of have that understanding.
Absolutely.
And it just gave me the sort of outline for my own business, because I was like, okay, I know that I need to come out of the gate strong. So I need to make sure that I have all of my finances in order, because I had to deal with a lot of billing while I was at Foot Locker. So I'm like, I know what these invoices need to look like. I know everything that they need to say. I know what they don't need to say. I know how to itemize things. So there was just a ton of things that I was able to take from.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. So
no, I'm not going to ask you this because it could be illegal.
Don't ask me that. But the answer is yes.
You know what I was going to ask you.
I do.
Okay, because I did it too.
But yeah, I mean, you figure out, you use your resources.
You have to.
You use your resources.
And
I was just very intentional about it all, and was like, okay, I know what I've experienced. I know what it feels like to work with an agency. I know what we've asked of them, so I know what's going to be asked of me when I say that I'm ready to do it. So I really I needed all of the experience that I had. I needed to work with the client. I needed to be the client. I needed to kind of have all of those things.
It was like a 360 training.
Totally. So, and having an understanding of budgets and all, just so all of it. Yeah.
So who was your first client coming out the gate?
Coming right out of the gate was this company called Aslani, actually.
Okay.
And it was funny because I got an email from the guy, and of course you get emails from people, but because I wanted to make sure to work at a certain scale, I didn't want to start at super low budget projects and like homie hookups. So I was turning down.
We're a real company.
Yeah, I was like, no, I need a budget because I have people who have worked on very big campaigns who can work on yours.
Yep.
And so thankfully I got an email from a guy who was like, hey, I saw your work. I have a company.
This wasn't a connection.
Not a connection at all. Got his email from literally out of nowhere. And I was like, this is a stranger emailing me. Yes. This is probably like my 4th email to this email address.
Right,
so
exactly.
I'm like, hype.
You're like, is this Google
is this Google saying that?
What's your backup email?
I'm like, no, this is a real email.
Right.
So he contacted me and ended up letting me know that he had seen my work via Instagram. He's like, yeah, I saw this Jordan campaign, followed the model, went to the model's Instagram page and like saw that you were tagged, and then I saw your name tagged on some other stuff, and then I saw that you opened your own company, and I was like,
oh, you followed my
Instagram.
History.
Yeah, but I was like, that's the power of social media.
It's so important. Social media is so important.
We hate to say it is in some respects, but like, it was my resume.
For promotion, for marketing purposes, I mean, social media is really like, it's the go-to.
It is.
It's where, like, when you meet people, you're like, should we exchange numbers or Instagram numbers?
Hey, what's your IG?
Yeah, it's just you do that before you, like, if I want to stay in touch with you, I may DM you versus texting you.
Absolutely. And that way I can creep a little bit.
Exactly, have some background.
Exactly, you know?
Exactly.
And so I was completely surprised, but I was like, fantastic, let's do it.
Yeah.
We sat on the phone, we talked about what he wanted to do. He was a little bit, the company were new. They were a new clothing company. And they didn't have a ton of knowledge about what sort of stuff they needed. So I utilized all of my background from Foot Locker and was like, you need this, you need this, you need this, you need this. Do you want to make sure that you have email assets as well as, you know, your homepage assets?
Oh, wow, things that they had no idea.
Yeah, just a bunch of different stuff. And they were like, oh yeah, let's do this. I'm like, okay, great. So here are the package prices. Let me know what you think. You send off that email and you're like, Jesus, I hope that
you literally pray.
You're like, please come back with something positive. And they were fantastic. They were like, awesome, let's go with this one. How soon do you think we can? And I was like, Mom, you'll never believe what just happened. Somebody gave me money.
I have a client.
Yeah, so it was awesome.
That's amazing.
And we ended up going through a full shoot day with them, photo, video, motion graphics. It came out fantastic, and I really was just, I impressed myself just because I was like, you did this thing without...
all on your own.
All by yourself.
Yep.
You know, so it was cool.
I think it's the most special that your first client was not a connection, not a personal connection.
Yeah.
That almost is like, oh, I'm about to be doing this.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Right?
Yeah, that's what it felt like. And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe we can. You know? And so that initial momentum was...
In what month was
crucial.
Because you announced in...
I announced at the beginning of October.
Okay.
I think we got that mid-October. Wow. Like mid-October, yeah.
Pretty soon after.
Pretty soon after. And I was like, this is awesome.
That's amazing.
We got it.
So what has the progression been like? Like, how have you
Slow and steady.
Slow and steady wins the race, though.
Slow and steady. Yeah.
There we go.
Freelancing it's good. It's definitely challenging.
It's a hustle.
We were just talking about this earlier. I mean,
in a way you've never had to hustle.
Yeah, literally. I mean, you forget that being at a job, or I forgot that being at a job means that like you're basically handed gigs every day.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a new assignment.
Here's a new project, a new gig.
Exactly.
And you don't have to worry about, even in the times that like, because working corporate, you're like, I have nothing to work on.
Right.
But I'm still going to get paid.
Yeah, exactly. And that's great. That's a nice feeling.
Because if you don't have anything to work on now...
What do I have? I have nothing to work on and no money as well.
Yeah.
So being at a corporate job, you're able to get constant gigs.
Yeah.
And now being freelance, I very quickly realized that I have to go out and get those gigs.
Yeah.
And social media, albeit great, is not the be all end all.
Yeah, it's the initial.
It is only the
and
initial.
then there's other channels that you got to follow through.
What's our sustain phase?
So what are those different channels that you have to put yourself in, you have to use to get new clients and to spread awareness for your company?
Well, I'm learning about that now, okay. I'll be honest. But what I have figured out is that you just have to keep working. You have to produce work even if it's not for someone else. Because you need to stay at the top of people's minds is what I have come to believe.
No, that you absolutely do. Because if they see you're not doing anything, they're like, she doesn't have any clients.
And especially if where you're discovering me is social media. If I haven't posted in however long, you literally might think I dropped off the face of the earth.
Exactly.
And so, and I know that I've personally hired people. I know I hired Mark, Gerard, and a number of other photographers simply because I saw that they were working. Yeah. And I assumed that they were busy. So I thought, let me hit you up.
Yep.
You seem like you're, and this was all their own work that they were just doing to do.
Very smart.
And I'm like, hey, I saw you were doing stuff, so I wanted to hit you up to do something else.
More stuff,
Right. And I think that's been the one thing that if I have any rule, it's like just keep doing. Don't ever stop. You just have to keep doing. The moment that you just sit there and are like, well, nobody's hitting me up. Yeah. Nobody's gonna hit you up because you're sad about not being hit up. You know, so. I just very quickly got that mentality and was like, all right, well, when I don't have a client gig, that means that I have time to do my stuff. Working on something for yourself.
Exactly. And has that been rewarding to be able to work on your own things?
Oh my gosh.
Is that your favorite thing?
Oh my gosh. It is. Yeah. I just finished my next video project called The Reworks Belly. Which is a larger video series, The Reworks, and the first film that we're doing from the series is Hype Williams' Belly.
Interesting.
I gotta show it to you.
Intrigued.
It's primo. We just announced the screening literally today, and we're gonna do it this week. But it was, hey, I have some downtime.
Yeah.
What do I want to do?
Yep.
And committing myself to completing it.
Right.
And being like, all right. January was December and January is tough for
the
freelancers.
Holiday. Yeah. I mean, nothing. Literally nothing.
Nothing. And I went through the holidays.
Yeah, you start to freak out a little bit.
I had a full-blown panic attack.
Yeah, the end of November, Thanksgiving to Christmas, I was just like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I may have to move back to Ohio.
I literally was like, do I have to move back in with my parents?
Yeah.
I was freaking out because October was great, and then November came, and it was Thanksgiving, and then you were like, okay, maybe it's
you get all these out of offices, you're like, ooh.
And then it's Christmas, and you're like, okay, and then it's New Year's, and you're like, okay.
And then it's January, and you're like, oh.
Okay. So now it's okay.
Yeah.
I still don't have anything.
Yep.
But then you quickly go back, and I'm like, I know what it's like to be
that corporate, because that down, and that's so important to think about. Is I remember what I was doing when I was working in a 9-to-5 around the holidays.
Exactly.
Nothing.
I'm not thinking about bringing in new people.
Every email I sent from December to probably February was let's circle back in the new year.
Literally.
And the new year starts in February in corporate America, because we're not doing anything in January.
And without that sort of knowledge,
you get discouraged.
You can get really discouraged. And so I had to remind myself, I'm like, okay, you know how this works.
Right.
Come February, everybody's back on it. It's Black History Month. Yeah. Now these brands need to start activating again because they need content. So I'm like, I know how this works. Okay. And thankfully, the ball is picking back up. So
new clients.
So
here we
go. So it's going well. But definitely had a little freak out.
Yeah.
November, December, January. It was like, whoa.
Right. And now that you've been through it, it's just, now you can be expecting it.
Yes,
every holiday season.
Exactly.
You're
So now we know what we need to do a couple months ahead of time.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So what's been the hardest thing about this entire process?
For me, it's been adjusting to finances, in all honesty. I'll be honest, it's been the adjustment.
Yeah, well, it is an adjustment. From getting a steady paycheck every couple weeks to your benefits, to your insurance.
Yeah. That was definitely the biggest transition, just because I thrive off of stability, and I'm just able to function better when I know that, like, I'm okay.
Right.
And this has just been the first time that I've been unsure.
Yep.
And it was scary a little bit. And just a reality check. And I'm like, and you're like, wow, I'm almost 30. Like, you can't be out here confused like this. And you're like, I'm supposed to know this stuff. And so that's definitely been the hardest. And I'm learning to work through it and, like, learning how to budget better and plan better. And I'm like, oh, okay.
But, like, you know what? For me, am I the only one that thinks, I mean, yes, it's a bit scary. And I'm kind of enjoying the nerves that it gives me. I'm just like, ooh. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, I have this mindset now, it's always going to work itself out. So now I'm just kind of sitting and waiting to see which one of these ways is going to be the way it works itself out.
Girl, that's God working in your life.
Well, that's
amazing.
That's because I have a relationship with God.
I was going to say, truly, I'm like, that's walking in faith.
It really is, because now, the holiday months where I was just like, I still don't have anything. Yeah. But I was like, this is kind of still fun. And I'm like, let's see what's going to
eat tonight. I don't know.
I'm like, well, what's everyone doing? They're like, Janae, it's Tuesday at like 2 p.m. We can't hang out with you.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
No, I think that, I don't know if I've learned to, like, enjoy the nerves of it yet.
Yeah.
But I have learned to walk in faith, because
that's the only thing you can do.
Nothing else for me to do.
It's the only thing you can do.
And I think that's how I got through the holiday season was with faith, because as much as I tried, check didn't appear out of nowhere, you know?
And it's never going to.
That's not how it's going to work.
That's freelancing.
And I think that, if anything, my relationship with God and meditation and all that stuff has just gotten better, because I'm like, it's just me by myself most of the day. Yep. And I have to be my own biggest cheerleader. I have to constantly tell myself, you can do it.
Yeah.
Even if I don't think that I can.
You really do have, and the days are up and down, but you really, at the end of the day, you just have to believe in yourself.
You have to.
Yeah.
Nobody else is going to.
Absolutely.
You have to believe in yourself, and you also have to be capable.
Yes. Yeah. And, well, there's that training, which you talked about.
Exactly.
And so you know that you can do what you've set yourself out to do.
Right. And I think that was crucial, because I didn't go into freelance nervous. Mm-hmm. I walked into it like,
I know what I'm doing.
I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm bringing to the table. Yeah. I may not have all the connections to be at said tables.
Right.
But when I get there,
and I will get there,
I deserve to
I know
be
where
there.
the tables are.
Exactly.
So I like to wrap up every show with what I call a shot. And that is...
Oh my God, I'm so bad at shots.
We're not actually going to... We can take shots of gin if you want.
Oh God.
No, basically a shot is something small, something powerful, something strong that you want to pass on. What shot do you want to give? Take your time.
I will, you know what? It is the one thing that I've been having to repeat to myself lately, which takes me back to college a bit.
Yeah.
But excuses are tools of incompetence, which build monuments of nothingness, and those who practice in its usage seldom amount to anything.
Wow. We need that in writing somewhere. Yeah. So that...
We're taking it back to Greek life. Life. Those excuses days. But that's what it's felt like, really. It's like there's no time for excuses.
Absolutely not.
When you are accountable for yourself, who I can't go to my manager and say XYZ didn't happen. I gotta... There are no time for excuses.
I love that piece of advice. I think that they're so real. That is even something that people that are in their corporate jobs, still in their corporate jobs, whether they want to leave or not, excuses they're for weak people.
They're really for weak people.
They're for really weak people. And I try not to ever make excuses for myself. And when I hear myself and I'm just like, you know what?
Let me just stop mid-sentence.
Yeah. No excuses.
Because I can feel myself coming up with the reason as to why I couldn't accomplish something, but I could have.
You could have. Exactly.
And I think that's truly the difference between anybody.
Yeah.
You just have to do.
Yeah.
There's not much to it.
Just do it.
You could go do it.
Nike.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were onto something with that.
They absolutely were. Wow, years ago. So
crazy. What's
next for you? I mean, you kind of told us about your screening that you just announced today, but like tell us more about that. What's next for you? Where can people find you if they want to stay in touch, if they want to book you?
So next up is I'm going to start crowdfunding for my next short film called Her Keeper, which is ideally coming fall of 2020.
Okay.
So we're about to start crowdfunding for that, so I'm really excited to announce that. But most immediately is this week we have the screening for the Reworks Belly, which is a small sort of video vignette series that we're doing of rework scenes from iconic Black films. And the first film is Belly by Hype Williams. So
I love it.
I'm really excited. We're going to be screening it at Nighthawk in Brooklyn. So it's going to be fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And where can everyone find you? Where can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on the internet streets at It's Micole. And then at my website, micole.work.
Amazing.
I'm around.
She's around. She's open for work.
Yes, I am open, available, booked, not busy enough. You know,
You're going to be busy very soon.
I'm ready for it.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much for this.
This was so fun.
This was awesome.
It
means a lot that you did this. And I just have to say, because we talked about this a while ago about you know, leaving your job and having a conversation about what it feels like to have done this.
Yep.
And to sit across from another young Black woman who has also been like, I'm going to take a leap of faith as well.
Yeah.
Is so freaking
This
cool.
was special. And especially when I saw you for the first time at CultureCon. It was the first time I was back from Europe.
Yeah.
And you had just quit. I just gave you this hug.
I know.
I'm so proud of you.
I know.
It was
what
a
it felt.
special
And I
moment.
remember being like, I saw all of your stuff on Instagram. Like, you were just out here living. Yeah. Wow.
We did it.
Yeah.
We did it.
We did.
Very proud of you.
I'm proud of you too. Thank you for this. This is awesome.
You are very welcome. Thank you.
Of course.